Happy International Women's Day for 2022. It's such an important day throughout history for women across the globe. And today I have the absolute pleasure of having Helen Searle join me for this interview. Now, Helen Searle, for those who don't know her, is the networking queen. She knows bloody everybody, not just in Australia, but across the world. But some really incredible things that Helen's done, we're going to talk about today because she's definitely been an advocate for women and equality for women through sport, through business, through so many different things. So, Helen, would you like to just introduce yourself to everyone watching today?
Thank you. Awesome, JenT. Great to be here on International Women's Day. And I think we should celebrate women every day, but let's recognise them today anyway. My background's a bit interesting. I was a teacher, ended up playing sport, this crazy sport called korfball, which I was taught when I was at university training to be a PE teacher. And cut a long story short, I ended up travelling around the world, playing for Australia, ended up on the International Korfball Federation in what's a mixed gender sport. So my foray into women's equality happened certainly in my sporting involvement. Then I got married, had 4 kids in 5 years, and 3 of them are women, and they're a big part of my life. And model, being a good role model to them is really important to me as well. And now, obviously, I've got involved in business and networking over the last decade, and obviously, women are a super big part of that and their success as well.
Yeah, I think I'm with you, Helen, and we've just had some love already in the chat. If you've got any questions for Helen or myself, we would love for you to pop them in the comments so we can bring you up on stage and give you a chance to have your message heard as well. I love working with incredible women. I see incredible women every day in my business, in my life, and today is the day to shout them out. I am a big believer as well, though, that every day we should be supporting each other, no matter what day of the year it is. We should always be there to raise each other up. And I think that International Women's Day is definitely the day that highlights coming together and raising each other. So we've got some more people jumping on, which is awesome. Go Inspirational Women is another comment that's just come through. Now, Helen, I would love to know who are a couple of the most inspirational women in your life at the moment?
Well, over history, Jen, I had 2 amazing grandmothers who also worked like tirelessly, raising great matriarchs of the family, multiple kids and 20s, 30s grandkids, and looked after us and showed that women can be strong. So I was always watching what they did. They both worked in incredibly difficult situations to raise children and be really strong women. So I was watching that as I grew up, and it's really important that we have great role models, especially when we're at that impressionable age. So certainly, and then my mother was a great role model as well. And, over the years, I love it when I see women, particularly in sport or in politics, when you see somebody get to the top. I don't know why, but I always think they've probably had more challenges than some of the men that have got to those positions because they're in a minority. I don't know if you know, but I was recently watching a documentary, and in Finland at the moment, there's a female prime minister. She's about 34 or something like that. The whole coalition, I think there's 5 women formed the coalition of government of Finland, and they're all women and they're all under 40. I love it. And I've been watching Finland for years and years and years because I lived in Europe, and I love the way their education goes, their social justice, they've just got some really good things going. And I love it that there's a whole female government now running that country who can, and young, who have got some amazing ideas that they're implementing. So hopefully that sort of picks on around the world as well. But I love to see it. There's some beautiful female athletes that I've been associated with my background in korfball. I've spoken at international conferences on women's equality, and on panels with me and delegates have been some amazing female athletes that I've met who, had amazing adversity and got to the top of their sport. I love to see people like, Michelle Obama and, these amazing women that have really led by example when it hasn't been easy and they could have taken an easier path. So there's some great women's role models out there, right down to Danielle Green, who you won't know her, but I went to school with her when we were kids. We were at a presentation dinner the other night, an awards night, where I was a judge and she was presenting all the prizes, and she's been a member of parliament in the Labor Party for like 20 odd years. She's about to retire, And she gets out there every day, sacrificed her life, her family life out there to help just local communities to grow and thrive. So some of those women that are amazing are unsung heroes as well that we don't know about. They're not, you know, the Oprahs and whatever, they're in the spotlight, but they're just amazing women just doing their stuff every day to serve others.
Oh, there is so many incredible women. If you're watching live or the replay, give them a shout out here so that they get some recognition, because recognition is something that we don't always get. And recognition is important to, you know, maybe they need a little bit of a boost today. Maybe they need that little bit of encouragement to keep going. Some of the most incredible women in my life are people making a big difference, making a big impact. I do a lot of work with Ange Liston-McCauley from the Type 1 Foundation. Now, this is a mum who watched their daughter incredibly unwell and decided to make change from that. So big shout out to Ange. We've got, just in our community, we both live in Geelong, we've got the Geelong mums, like far out, those women that are there to support women in need all of the time. We've got all of the doctors and nurses, the females that are representing us and taking care of our children, taking care of the elderly, taking care of anyone in need. Like, there are some incredible, incredible women. I'm really lucky. One of my good friends, Bree Smith, is the most incredible pediatric nurse and mum, and she's such an inspiration. I've got so many inspirational women around me. Sophie Anapleotis, my bestie, would have to be the most giving, generous woman, and I'm so lucky to have her. I want to give Deb Fribbins a shout out, but also the women in my family. My mum, she became a widow very young, and I was really concerned for her at that time, but she has just absolutely inspired me. And then my grandmother, she was always a hard worker, and she was such a beautiful human. And I know that I'm the woman I am today because of these incredible influences that I've had within my family. And you're so right, Helen, from such an early age, we are so impressionable, and like the imprinting age is 0 to 7. And that's where we learn a lot of our beliefs, and it's where we form who we are. And our biggest influence in that time is our family. So thank you so much to my family. Now, Helen, you were also telling me about when you first started getting involved in International Women's Day. Can you explain what it was like back in Ballarat?
So, yeah, I went to Ballarat Uni, and, you know, in Ballarat, there's a big social movement all the time. And at uni in those days, the women organised for everyone to come in purple stockings or dark blue stockings, because that was in the early days how the women marched in the streets to try and get their voting rights and equality and everything. So the uni was always decked out, you know, in purple. I think it's green and white, a bit of that as well for some of International Women's Day events, but mainly the purple. So it was back then when I saw it. And, you know, we even had at uni in those days, we had equal opportunity women's groups and women's events and things like that. So when I stopped playing sport, and the sport I'm involved with at that time is a sport that has 8 men and 8 women on a team. And I was sitting at the World Championships, and I looked around and I went, we've got 16 teams here, 16 are coached by men. We've got 10 referees here. They're all men. And I just went, how can we have an equal number of people on the field, but we don't have equality in all our committees? We don't have equality in our leadership, in our coaching, in our referees. So because I was complaining about it so much, they said to me, well, you know, why don't you do something about it? So I then became our equal opportunity sort of person on the International Korfball Federation, which was pretty life-changing for me because it opened other doors for me to speak at conferences, International Olympic Committee conferences, lots of places all around the world about women and equality, and using our example of what we were doing in our sport to try and work at grassroots level, because it's well enough to say, yeah, let's bring more people in. But if we don't nurture them, if we don't train them, if we don't give them the skills, they're never going to make it at the highest level. So it starts at grassroots level. It's well and good. You just can't go, let's bring a female referee in to referee at the highest level. You have to nurture them and have programs in place. So that's what we did. And it's, you know, I've been involved for 20 years now. And what we've now, when I look at the latest championships and all the competitions, there's heaps of women coaches, there's heaps of women referees. And, you know, it's been embraced. People wanted it to happen. I don't think there's actually a, you know, discriminatory, you know, sort of feeling out there, but it's just the structure and the work needs to be done at grassroots level in lots of areas, whether that be politics or business or sport, to help give people that start, because sometimes that's the hardest thing to do, is to get your foot in the door. So I'm really proud of what we've achieved over the years, and yeah, awesome to see so many successful women in the areas that I work in business, in sport, and in my social life. So I'm really blessed to be connected with some amazing, amazing women. And when you talked about recognition before, I love it when women recognize women. There's nothing better, because unfortunately sometimes we don't do that, or, you know, there could be some sort of jealousy or whatever going on. But when a woman gives you recognition, when women are out there, you know, being the best advocates of other women, there's nothing better. I love it when I see women recognizing women, because, you know, that sisterhood is what we need to all rise and support each other together.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Helen. And look, today, make a point of recognizing someone. Even send them a text message and go, you're amazing at what you do. Keep going, because everyone needs that support and that encouragement sometimes. And what I see a lot of women especially do, and I talk about this in my trainings, Helen, is we get a compliment or someone gives us some recognition and we push it back because you know, a lot of us in our upbringing and things like that, we're told, don't be arrogant, don't be on yourself, however you want to phrase it. But we're taught to push compliments away. And so many women, I will give them feedback on how well they're doing, and they always find the negative. And they always go, but I didn't do this 100% right, or I could have done better here. But let's recognize ourselves as well. You know, look at yourself and find your beauty and compliment yourself about how amazing you are. Because I did an interview last night with a therapist, and she was talking about how if we wait for someone to put their hand up to step in and support us, we're going to be waiting a very, very long time. But it's so important that we're constantly filling our own cup and putting on our oxygen mask first. And I think that as women, we can really band together to be able to fill each other's cups today, especially, and make a real impact and difference in the world. Helen, who's someone that who has really inspired you this year? Like, we're only in March, but there's been some incredible things happening this year already. Who's someone that you would like to recognize today?
Well, I'm going to say, this might be a bit prejudiced, I'm going to say my 3 daughters, because they've been growing up in this crazy COVID world. It's not easy being a teenager. I mean, they're sort of like 19, 21, 23 now. So there's a lot of pressure on young females these days to, you know, just be like everyone else, or to do what everyone else is doing. And I feel like the biggest goal I had, you know, in raising them was for them to own their own awesomeness and to really be proud of anything that they achieve, and, you know, not to try and hide it, and, you know, not take credit for it. So they're out there smashing their goals, you know, every day. I tell them how awesome they are, and, you know, and they're believing it. And when you've got that self-confidence, especially in this, you know, difficult, challenging world, one of them's moved away from home for the first time now to another state where we can't see her all the time. But, you know, they're becoming independent, but also accepting challenges and achieving milestones. And will they make mistakes? Yeah, they will. So what? I mean, it's just failing forward. So I'm really proud of especially my girls. I'm proud of my son too, in case he's watching. But those girls, the kids these days, have the most amazing, amazing challenges. And I think we as older people sometimes are a bit younger, but we don't realize, because growing up in a different world to what we grew up in, and, you know, the pressure of social media and conformity, and you know what? They don't want to be tall poppies sometimes. They don't want to stand out and show they're awesome and own it. That's the hardest thing sometimes for women. Sometimes I ask women what their great achievements are, and they tell me it's their children. And that is a great achievement, but they've got other achievements as well, but they don't want to tell me about them and if you ask a man, it's pretty rare that they say their children are their best achievement. It's just it's a gender thing, but of course our children are our greatest achievements. But, if you own your awesomeness is the best advice I can give today, because it's not arrogant. It's you've earned it. If you've achieved something, you've worked hard to do it. Be proud of it. So that's what I try and my girls, particularly this year after a couple of years in lockdown, where they've been in rooms for 2 years, where they've been on Zoom for 2 years, where they haven't been able to play sport, go out. One of them missed her 18th, couldn't have it. One of them missed her 21st, couldn't have it. They're growing up in a really challenging time. And, every day is not easy for young people these days, or for a lot of us, in fact, the situation. But yeah, my girls, I'm really proud of what they've achieved this year, and they're inspiring me every day.
I love that. And I saw that, they were giving back to the community over the last, over the weekend as well, which shows the role model that you've been for them, always giving. So thank you for what you've done, Helen. And you've raised some really amazing things. Over the last 2 years, we live in the most lockdown state in the world. And I spoke to so many mums who were running a business, working full time, homeschooling, who were, trying to do everything. And look, let's give all of them a shout out today, all of the working mums who were juggling home life balance, trying to regulate their children and explain to their children what was going on. They did an incredible job. And yes, maybe your kids didn't get all their homework handed in and all that sort of thing, but you did your bloody best. And I think that we need to accept that sometimes we don't need to be perfect, because there's no such thing as perfect. It's let's just do our best right now. And so thank you for bringing that up. Now, Helen, I've got a couple of questions that I always ask my guests when I have them on at Be the Confident You. The first one is, what does confidence mean to you?
Confidence for me is being aware of my ability to serve others, I think. So when I go somewhere, I never feel frightened or a little bit nervous about going. I speak a lot at events. I speak in front of people. I don't feel nervous, because I feel confident that I'm going in and I know I can help someone there. It's a bit weird, but it's like I've become this person who loves to help people. And I don't know, it's just like I feel like if you go somewhere, or you're whatever in life, and your view is about helping someone else or serving others, or maybe it sounds a bit cliche, but it gives you confidence in yourself that, I don't know what, maybe it's just the littlest of thing, but I feel confident that, I'm going to be able to, find my way at whatever that event is or wherever I am. So it's really about, just trying to help somebody else and being confident in your own ability of self, that, you're going to be true to yourself and serving that other person. So yeah, that's, for me, that's confidence.
Oh, I love that. And it's so, so true. That's one of the things that I always talk about in my trainings as well, with showing up in front of the camera. Our videos aren't about us. They're about the people that we can be helping. And as soon as we shift into that state, we go into what's called an uptime state, where you can't, if you're in a true uptime state and you're there of service for somebody else, you can't be in a negative state. And when you do that, it takes the focus off you, because it's not really about you. It is about the people that you can help whenever you're putting yourself out there. Well, it should be. It should be. We'll say that. We'll say that. But it is a huge shift when you do feel that difference of being of service and being there to help people, being there to empower others. It does take away nervousness. So I love that. I love that response. And Helen, if you've ever been in a situation where you've needed to tap into your confidence, has there been anything that you've said or anything that you've done to be able to do that?
I think it's just self-belief, that if you feel that your ability is there, I think that when we get doubt, you know what, we're usually 99 times out of 100, we can do whatever it is. It's our doubt that usually lets us down, because when you believe something, it'll happen. I mean, if you believe that you're good enough, you're going to be good enough in whatever it is the challenge is. Even if you're not fantastic, you're going to do it to your best of your ability. If you believe that you're not good enough, then your brain actually affects your body to the extent where you're not going to be able to actually perform whatever that is that you're going to be doing. So it's about tapping into self-belief and knowing that your best is enough. And that's what I always say to my kids: hey, your best is enough. It's more important to be happy in life than do anything else, and to make money or whatever. Happiness for me is what I just say to them all the time. Do whatever makes you happy. I don't care what degree you get. I don't care what's going on. Do what makes you happy. But also own your awesomeness. And if you believe that, you're going to do well in whatever it is you're doing, then that's what happens. It's just a self-fulfilling prophecy. So the best advice I can give is, whatever you're doing, just go out there and say, you know what, I'm going to rock it. Even if you don't have the skills or whatever, you're just going to do the best that you physically or mentally can do at the time, which is the best that you can do. So it's about tapping into self-belief, and because it's always that doubt that lets us down. Once that doubt gets in here, it affects everything, even in physical performance. I've seen the best athletes who were 10 times better than me or whoever they were competing against not perform at their best because of what happened in their brain. So it's about, your brain controls everything. Just have belief that you're good enough and you'll rock it.
Yeah, you're getting some love. Can we get on and give Helen some love hearts and some thumbs in the emojis, because it's absolutely true. Absolutely true. Helen, thank you so much for sharing why International Women's Day is important to you. Thank you for jumping on here and adding value to the people who are watching, whether you're watching live or the replay. If you want to get in contact with Helen, please do so. I'll tag her in this once we jump off. I'm about to go and speak on a panel. We're doing a 24-hour live stream for International Women's Day. There's almost 50 different speakers from across the globe. So I'm going to be speaking at 12 o'clock for that. I am so pumped to be able to add heaps of value to and inspire women today. So get on your phones, recognize some amazing women in your life. Have a fantastic day. And as always, make sure you do something today to show yourself some self-love. See ya.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day, and let's recognize women